Let's crack on then.
Let's crack on to Kinky Boots. Do you want to start? Should I start?
Okay, let's now if you want well I'm gonna give a bit of introduction as usual and ready? Okay. So hi everyone, welcome back. We are going to be discussing about Kinky Boots, the musical, music by Cyndi Lauper, book by Harvey Firestein, and these people are very known. Cyndi Lauper is a very popular pop artist. She's done many songs in the 80s and 90s. And Harvey Firestein is actually quite known on Broadway for having originated the role of Edna Turnblad in the musical Hairspray.
Mm.
He's written books for many musicals and has revisited and revised many books to make musicals better. He knows what he's doing, and Kinky Boots has been a tremendous success on Broadway and also in the West End. Now both productions are closed, but a professional DVD version has been released, and this is the one we'll be discussing today.
I have a question. You're saying the professional versions, the professional showings are closed. Is it because they shut down, or is it because of the coronavirus?
Usually, no. Usually, these two shows actually closed like between
Oh
they
yeah.
both closed last year, and they closed just because of a lack of money, of like benefit profit they were making. They
Mm.
run for like 7 or 8 years on Broadway and the West End, and after this amount of time, if they see that they're not making as much money as
Yeah.
they usually make, they decide to close the show.
Yeah, they're being. I mean, it opened in 2012,
It did.
which is so it's been a pretty long time. It's pretty crazy because you know how you said music and lyrics by Cyndi Lauper, and I totally forgot. I knew it before because I listened to a few of the songs and I knew it was Cindy who was doing the music. But then when I saw it on, I did some research and I saw it was Cyndi Lauper. I was like, oh yeah, she did the music. That's crazy because she was an '80s artist. So
Well,
it's really crazy.
it's very nice. Both production in the West End in the UK, in the West End and on Broadway, won the award for best musical. So the Olivier Award was in the West End, and the Tony Award on Broadway. So
In Broadway.
basically, they've been considered as the best new art work that year in both countries.
And there was something else about Harvey Fierstein that I read here in his page that he did something really cool, but I forgot what.
Firestein, well, he did many stuff. He was in the movie of Mrs. Doubtfire, and he's written the books of so many musical,
Oh,
but
yeah,
he's also
here
played
I
a lot
found
of
it.
roles.
He wrote the book for Newsies and did the and then with Alan Menken he did the music. That was
Yes,
it. The
yes,
Newsies thing.
he did.
I remember because it was like it's really popular and he wrote it too, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
You want to get into the show itself now?
yeah. Let's do it.
There's not much
No,
backstory to it. I mean,
I'll let you start with this.
okay. So I think first of all, I just want to say that the show itself, it's got such good dialogue and it's pretty well written. Honestly, there's maybe some character moments that could have been, expanded upon or maybe taken out, but the whole show in itself is it has really good dialogue and it's got some really good phrases and it's got a message. That's what I like. It's got a message. As we've seen before, Wind in the Willows, for example, it didn't have a message. But Kinky Boots, Shrek the Musical, Legally Blonde, they all have a message, and I think that's what makes it worth being a piece of art. It's got something to tell. And I think the show really portrayed that, and especially Harvey Fierstein. Um, I read in his Wikipedia that he was one of the first gay playwrights and artists to like come out in Broadway. So the whole show in itself really portrays a message of being yourself and all that sort of thing. So it was like it's really good. It really does what the show wants to do,
Mhm.
and it succeeds at it. I think. What do you
I
say?
agree. I agree with you. I think that we'll see later in this review that this show is about acceptance of each other and has a really good message on what gender is, on masculinity, femininity, what it takes to be a man, what it takes to be a woman, and beautiful story, beautiful visuals, and yeah.
And it's even crazier to think that, well, right now in Argentina, there's a lot of this movement, and this came out in 2012. This was ages ahead of its time. I don't know how the situation was in the USA back then in 2012, but it's just crazy that this is happening here in my country, and this show has been portraying these messages for such a long time, and
Yes.
it's good. It's good. So should we like talk about the first act? Just maybe do what we always do, spill out what we thought, scene by
Of
scene.
course. Of course, of course. Well, I'll let you go ahead.
Okay. So oddly enough, like the beginning, it was like a. I noticed that Coco copied Kinky Boots because I started. You know how Coco, the Pixar movie, they have like Coco who wants to be a singer, an artist, and his whole family is like a shoemaking family.
Yes.
And like I saw that resemblance, and I just thought it was funny because I thought of Coco instantly. But this came out
Uh,
way before Coco, so I'm not saying Coco. I'm not saying Kinky Boots copied Coco.
of course not.
And I think I didn't have much to say honestly for like the beginning. It was really normal. There was not much that I would have grabbed from it, but the first thing that happened was step one, which was the song sung by Charlie when he starts sort of taking position in the shoe company,
Yes.
and it really brought me back to 2015 when I listened to that song for the first time, and I don't know, it was just crazy to listen to that song again and realize it was from this show,
Yes.
and it was
Yes.
really cool to see that.
I think the opening sequence is quite pleasant. They really establish directly the whole. This is a great opening number. They establish directly from childhood to adulthood what these two men have been wanting for to do and what they ended up being, and they really put the really focus on shoemaking, which is the whole point of the show.
Hmm. Oh yeah, it's true that you see both Charlie and Lola, who are the main characters. You see them both in their younger versions. I forgot
Yeah.
about that. That's true.
There's a
And
perfect, there's a very good transition done visually on stage
hmm,
from child to adult, where the child disappears behind a shoe shelf, and right after there's the adult coming out of it, which I think is very smoothly done in every production I've seen.
oh yeah, there was like a part where when oh yeah, it was just once again coming back to the great dialogue. Lola in herself is just such a fun character because there's a lot of energy to her, and it must be so fun playing her character
It
because you
must.
just get to be so sassy and really express a lot of emotion and energy. And there was this one part where Don, the really tough guy, he's talking to Lola, and then Lola he's trying to like to get a reason to why men would wear boots,
Yeah,
and then Lola sits on Don's lap and she says, "If you can't get women to wear them, imagine trying to get them on blokes like me." And then
yeah.
Don is like, "Oh," that was just so funny. Such good dialogue, man. Honestly, and
It's it is very funny, and it's nice to have one of those shows where there's a funny line every two lines. In every scene, there is a purpose to make someone laugh or someone weep, you know? It's this
hmm,
comedy and tragedy.
it's called yeah. And the good thing about it is not just throwaway comedy like we see in most comedies nowadays, but it's actually sort of thought out and is appropriate to the character.
Yes.
Lola in herself is very, as I said, sassy, energetic, so it makes sense that she's constantly throwing out, comedy relief, and it doesn't make it seem forced, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, well, the sex song that was, when she's trying to pick a color for the boots and she wants red
Yes.
because she wants it to be Shaq's, how she says it. I think that song was great. It had such good choreography, honestly, and I can't remember properly, but I wrote down that it had a great choreo.
hmm
So
Jerry Mitchell did the choreography, and he's also known for having choreographed Legally Blonde.
oh my, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's
And
weird because I did a connection to Legally Blonde later on,
yes,
so it may be because of that.
probably. So for me, I think that the first act is a very strong act because you have a very good balance between fun and tears, in the sense that there is these all these hype moments, and when Charlie suddenly gets the idea of how to make shoes, and he's gonna build shoes, and then he there is these very like uplifting moments, but then there's a contrast. For example, when there is the song "Not My Father's Son," where you see both of them relate to the fact that they cannot live up to the expectations of their dads. I think that the song of Lauren, who is the history of wrong guys, is a very catchy song, and actually it's nice to see a female lead who is not necessarily perfectly beautiful and perfect in every way. She is very quirky, and she's very much more realistic and down to earth. um, she admits that like she's imperfect, and this is what makes her so lovable, I think. Um, this first act just perfectly sets the stakes of the show, in the sense that there's a shoe factory to save, there is an acceptation to be made, and there is a mind to be changed, to be transformed, which is Dawn's mind. And all of this is perfectly wrapped up in this first act, with crazy dance numbers, with glitter, with sassiness, with fun, with amazing comedic timing. And most of all, I think that it's just new. It's just something new. We've not seen on stage before people like telling a story this way, like that are coming and dancing in a factory. It's funny because a lot of the time when you have shows that are featuring drag queens, it is always very sparkly and very theatrical. Like it's got to be on stage, it's got to be on a performance. But here, on the opposite side, we have drag queens performing in a shoe factory, or
Yeah,
performing like in Milan, which is very different and unusual. So it's something I really like, and there is a very, I think it's a very, it's one of those musicals. It's very intimate. I don't, when you're in the audience, you feel like you're part of this factory almost. You don't feel like if you go see, for example, I don't know, Phantom of the Opera, you just watch a beautiful spectacle and you don't really feel part of it. You just watch it and are amazed by it. But here, they even talk to the audience. Lola says to the audience and breaks the fourth wall by saying, "You love watch. I love to be watched, and you like to look." And they say, "Ladies, gentlemen, and those who have yet to make up their minds." So we feel very engaged in the story directly.
that's really true. You said like a lot of things that I noticed too, which is perfect because like we don't have to repeat everything. So that's amazing. And it's where do I start? It's true. It's very true what you said. Okay, let me begin with what was her name? Lauren. Yeah, let me begin with Lauren. Annalee Ashford. She's amazing. I love
She's
her.
a
I
she's
love
a
her.
leg. She was in Legally Blonde.
Exactly. Yes, she was Pilar. Was it Pilar,
Margot.
Margot, or Serena?
She was playing Margot.
Margot. She's amazing. I love her. She's really cute. She's got a lot of energy. She's got this um California white girl vibe, which is like what she was in Legally Blonde, and she's like really cool. And well, the history of wrong guys. That song, she killed it. And well, let me add
No,
up to what.
it's also a good point to make, is that when you're originating a role, you have very big responsibility to make your song, to make it iconic or not. And I think that Annalie Ashford really made that song the way it is, and now no one can sing it differently, really. Like everyone is trying to kind of copy this ow, you know?
Yeah, this little like fangirl sort of sound that she character she portrays. Yeah, she really set that bar.
Exactly.
And there was well maybe adding up to what you're saying. Yes, it's true. I wrote the same thing. There was a very positive, um, a very audience positive show in which the audience like is very engaged in the show, and it's good because you have these moments where the audience can cheer on for the characters. For example,
Yes.
as you said, you can't really cheer on in the Phantom of the Opera. You can't go
No.
like woo. Here, when when Lola appears, you can like whistle, shout, maybe cheer on, and that's like a good thing that to have for the show especially, and like an
Yeah.
engaged audience. And well, there was one little thing that I quite didn't like
Shit.
is that was maybe very implied later on, which was the relationship between Charlie and Nicolas, which is his girlfriend. I wrote this at the very beginning because we didn't know anything about the relationship at that time, but yeah, it just seemed really weird. It just seemed really off,
Yeah.
and not in a good way because I just I started thinking the weird thing about like Charlie and his girlfriend is that they seem happy and like they're supposed to seem happy and are about to get married. So it's sort of weird because it's not really 100% portrayed.
Yeah.
But then you have Lauren, who's also trying to get with Charlie. So you just sort of like not really root for Lauren because you
Yeah.
see Charlie's about to get married. So it's not like, oh yeah, Lauren, go get him. I mean, he must be happy enough to get married, so you can't really root for Lauren to say, okay, go get him,
Yeah.
girl. It's not in contrast to Legally Blonde, how we see, um, we really know the character of Elle, and when we see Warner with Vivian, we really
Yeah.
want Elle to get back with him. But here it's just we don't have a reason to root for Lauren.
I see what you. I think that I agree with you in the sense that for me, there's something well, Lauren is kind of Nicola is kind of like thrown away conveniently in Act Two, and suddenly where it's all happy skies and basically Charlie can get back with Lauren and a happy ending. It's a bit easily thrown away that their fiance they're meant like they're engaged and they're meant to like get married, and suddenly just because he is devoted to his work to get money for their marriage, she is throwing him away. It
Yeah,
does
it
not
was
make
weird.
a lot of sense. For me, if I had to write this musical, I would have written a song for Nicola. I would have written a song for her, and I would have made it at the moment where she realizes that she's already lost her like fiance, that
Yeah,
he's really in another universe and in another bubble, and that they're not ready for each other. And something I dislike in musicals is when they create main characters and you have a list of these characters that will have an importance in the show, and Nicola and has no song. I don't like when a character has no song and they're just here just to be pretty. There's a difference between like someone that is just interjecting with a line or two, but here she is a definite character. She's part of the story and she has stakes in it. And if she has no song, it's a bit of shame.
and it's true what you're saying about this. Like, she should have a song, and it's weird to think that this random character at the beginning had a song with a guitar. When they did, I don't know his name. I don't even know. He's like one of Charlie's friends, I think.
Yes, yes,
He just comes in and plays the guitar and has a full song with Charlie.
yeah.
And I think maybe like that was conversation. That song should have been sung with Nicola and Charlie, maybe discussing their plans and maybe having Nicola realize that she's not on the same track as Charlie, something like that.
I think
And
what could have been done, it's a good idea. What could have been done is that Nicolas basically is the one that tells Charlie to go for it and to do it. And at the end, she realizes that she is the one that started and initiated Charlie's fire, and that
mm,
she's the one that basically lost him.
so then she's at fault for her own loss in a way.
Yeah, this could
Mm.
have been very interesting.
Yeah, so yeah, you see what I mean. Though. You see what I mean. It's just like their relationship could have been maybe developed a bit more or a bit played with a bit more.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And yeah, there was points in the play where like Nicola just disappears. She's
Yeah.
like not on stage for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So weird. Okay, moving on. We got Lola's and Charlie's song. So the one you said, the song my father wants, who my father wants me to be. I can't remember the name, but the one where they speak. I'm not my father's son.
Not
I'm
my.
not my father's son. There was a lot to take in from that song.
Yes.
And I think first, it's really interesting how Lola sings as if he didn't want to make his father happy.
Yeah.
No, sorry, as if he did want to make his father happy.
Hmm.
And as if he didn't hate him for disowning him, which is interesting because you're expected to feel that Lola is going to hate her father for disowning him and for treating him the wrong way, but you see a sort of compassion and forgiveness that she seeks, which is really interesting. And then, um, well, Charlie, even though he sings "I'm not my father's son," it's really weird because he is doing exactly what his father wanted. I feel that his father really wanted Charlie to be the owner of the shoe company and to take it on and to lead it on, and he does in the end.
In the end, he does, but it's the whole character's journey happens through the show.
But I think even at that point in the song, because you see Lola, she's already the designer for the company, so Charlie has already gotten the company working on shoes again,
Yes.
and he's in the position that his father wanted. So it was just weird for him to sing that he disappointed his father at that point because he was really doing what he wanted.
Hmm.
And anyways, I think like both characters, Charlie and Lola, they actually really complement each other because one of them is what like his father wanted him to be, Charlie, and the other one is what his father did not want him to be. So
Indeed.
then like they complement each other.
Yeah, yeah. Also, I think that there's a very strong line in that song is "We're the same Charlie boy, you and me," which Lola says at the end again in Raise You Up.
Yeah, that's true. She says it's what did she say? It's you, Charlie boy.
The same Charlie boy, you and me at the end. And in the original song, Not My Father's Song, she says, "We're the same Charlie boy, you and me. Let's go make some shoes."
That makes sense too. And I think it was a really good decision, um, uh, from the director or I don't know who, but to have Lola sing in her normal attire, which is men's clothes,
And
because there
Simon.
was yeah, exactly, she sung it as Simon, because there was a sense of exposure to her true self in a way, and that was like
Yeah,
interesting that they chose.
yeah, of course, of course. And I think that the once again the song the musical is very smart in the sense that they introduce Lola. The character development is when you see more than just one side to a character. We've seen Lola's incredible sassiness, but then we see Simon.
Who's the opposite. Simon is a shy, insecure, exposed person, and it's yeah, it was such a good decision. You see what I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, there was a small leitmotif and a small theme that was just played once, and I like musically wise, as in musical theater, like I really like that. I like when there's leitmotifs, and there was just one, which was when Charlie sings "This is my destiny," which is everybody tells me what they want me to be,
Yes.
and it was just a small leitmotif, which was nice. I think that was like a something worth mentioning
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
leitmotifs in musical really make a difference. And this one was only used twice, which sucks, but it was good to see that.
Yeah. I think that this is pretty much all of it for Act One. They end
Yeah,
they decided to end with the typical super hyped song ending.
which is interesting because here's where I made the connection with Legally Blonde. As we've seen in some, like in most shows, they either end in two ways. They end on like a really emotional number, for example, Shrek the Musical, or
I would say there's not two ways. I would say there's three ways.
three. Okay, okay. I'll say the first two, I think, and then you can add on the last one because I don't know the last. So it can end with a really sad song, so like an emotional song, such as in Shrek the Musical, and end in a really hype song, to break the ice. Or if it's a more upbeat show, such as Kinky Boots, you end on like this blast, sort of similar to Legally Blonde, when they end with this huge number where you see like the main characters succeeding and
Yeah.
like killing it, and then the next song of Act Two, it's just like a getting back into the rhythm, so you don't lose that energy.
Yeah.
In Inky Boots, you start off with the song of which was the song? Um,
You start with What a Woman Wants.
What a Woman Wants, and it's like such a upbeat song, and it's really good. And same with Legally Blonde. You start with Whip the Shape, and you keep that pace, you keep that energy. And what's the third way, my good friend
Well,
James?
for me, it's the ones you've said, but slightly I would put them in different categories in the sense that for me it's either you either have a solo ending, so it's one person on stage that will either make something massively big and strong, or in energetic or not. This is not the matter for me. It's not the question. It's for me. It's a matter of who is on stage, and so it's either going to be a solo person that's going to end with a very strong song. Either it's going to be heartbreaking. I'm trying to think of examples.
Hair,
Heartbreaking is going to be like, huh?
like in Hair, when Claude sings by himself at the end.
For example, that could be one of them, but I'm more thinking of, for example, in Dreamgirls, she ends Act One with "And I am telling you, I'm not going,"
Mm.
and she just it's she's throwing her heart on the table, and she's basically just spilling her emotions, and it's very strong and powerful. Then you could in solo numbers you could also have like a very strong powerful ending, but in the other way, which is Elphaba at the end of Wicked, you know.
Mm.
Then the second type of ending is going to be simply a duet, and it's going to be a nummy nummy love ending, like in some shows it will just end very quietly and lovely, in a lovely way. I'm trying to think. It'll come to my mind later. And the last one is going to be when you have a lot of people on stage that are all singing kind of in different paces, like the quintet in West Side Story, like the end of Les Mis, the end of Act One of Les Mis with One Day More, like Who I'd Be from Shrek. So for me, it's going to be whether it's going to be one person or more. This is how I would divide it, and then there's always variations of like very high stakes or not. Oh, for the two people at the end of the two people won is, for example, in Waitress, the end it's just a duet. Bad
Mm.
idea, you know.
That's cool. So you're like dividing them into how many people are on stage.
I would divide them into this, and then I would subdivide them into whether it's a ballad or if it's an up tempo number. To come back to Kinky Boots, the ending really ends very, very
Boom.
upbeat and very strong, and because it's a contemporary musical, and the theme is so new and modern, it works, you know.
Yeah, it really works because it's true. It's like a contemporary musical, and you don't have these classical elements. You have a more of a pop music, rock music, and it's more focused, I guess, on the dancing and stuff because the use of dance, like in the last song of Act One, that was incredible. The use of the treadmills as well is so good.
Very, very smart, yeah.
So for Act Two,
Act two. Do you want to
I
go ahead?
think, yeah, I'll say this one thing, like it's really important when, well, I don't know, I think it was really good that they took the message of the show and literally just said it. It's when after Don fights
Lola.
Lola in the boxing ring, and you know how now Don has to do the tasks that Lola gave him
Yes.
because they both gave each other tasks to do to be a real man. And then
Yeah.
the task that Don gets is accept someone for who they are. And I think just that, like that line just defines the whole show. And it's like perfect that they said it and they were not afraid to say it. What do you think?
I agree with you. I think that it's really, really good when it's also very educational. A musical like Kinky Boots, I think it's perfect to broaden minds. I think that the whole purpose of this musical is helping the population accept drag queens more and more. Even though it is quite, I would say, it's a big message. For people that go into seeing musical theater and entertainment in general, they're used to seeing sparkles and glitter and drag queens. They're used to this. But because Kinky Boots is such a great musical and it's working so well, and it's talking about not that it's more than just sparkle and glitter. This is what makes it so amazing. The message is well delivered, and also I think that what's really good is that bring a message about femininity and masculinity. I mean, a message about femininity within an art form of masculinity. I mean, they
Hmm.
say what it takes to be a man, and the thing that it takes in Don's eyes to be a man is to fight in a ring. And as an audience, it's very captivating. It's really captivating because you see a physical fight of opinions more than just a fight of fists. It's a fight of minds, and this is what makes it so smart, in my opinion. You know.
That's really cool. I didn't think of that that interpretation, which is a fight of minds.
And something very good too is that in that fight, I don't know if you've noticed, but there is on both sides, there is men and women on both sides. So that on Lola's side, there was the drag queens, the women, and there is also, for example, the little bearded guy that talks about the heel earlier. You know, the
Oh
guy who's
yeah,
for ages,
yeah,
so that even Dawn can't break it. This
yeah, yeah.
guy,
That guy.
he's on Lola's side. But then on what I'm really happy is that they did not do a generalization that all men are trash and all men are like. What they did is that they
They
took
picked one
they
character that's like,
they no there was a bunch of men, but there's also a woman that's in there saying you're gonna get stitches, blah 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 blah. And that woman who is there to support Dawn is to show that not just men need to change their mind, women too. And then came an amazing song that's called Soul of a Man.
Soul of a Man, Soul of a... Is that the one that Charlie sings?
It's the one that Charlie sings indeed. And this
Oh,
song, it took me a long time to fully understand what it means, but now that I understand it, I'm really glad. I really thought initially Soul of a Man was just about like not disappointing his father and that he's basically treated very badly his employees. But actually, Soul of a Man is about what it takes to be a man in their opinion. But a man, I mean, when I'm saying a man, it means a man or woman, a human in general. What it takes to be a human
mm.
is not about judging. It's about like accepting, and it's about doing the right thing and not being afraid of being sorry when have to be sorry. Because if you look at the lyrics of Soul of a Man, I'm gonna take them up. Soul of a Man,
Yeah, please do.
KINKY.
Because Soul of a Man, it was like the only song that I didn't quite hear well because I don't know, it was just I couldn't really hear properly. But
He says, I'm bad news, I'm a loser, and he says that he's just chewed up and screwed up, and he says that it's the same old Charlie that is hitting the ground and that has again and again he's just failed and failed. So I thought in the beginning it was just about the fact of his failure, and then he says, I'll never be the soul of a man, noble and wise, because the soul is something very spiritual and very elevated, you know, the soul. And he says, I'll never be the soul of a man noble and wise, like the soul of a man who lifted me high. So he says, like I've not. He says, I'm not the soul of a man who lifted me high. Is first, I think he's referring to what's his name, to his father, because his father raised him. He says,
mm,
I'll never be the soul, the exact same soul of the one who raised me. And then he says, who's lifted me up. He says, I'll never be the man noble and wise like the soul of a man who's lifted me up. And this second time, I think he's talking about Lola, because Lola is the one that gave him hope when he lost hope
yeah,
and
he
raised
lent
him
him a
up.
hand and raised. Yeah.
And it's the song of is the last song is called "Raise You Up."
That's smart.
So basically, he says, I'll never be the soul of a man who's raised me high and the soul of a man who's raised me up. He's talking about the two most brave men he's met in his life. And what have they done? They've basically stuck with what they said and they were not afraid to do the hard thing. And right after that song, what does he do? He calls Lola and he apologizes. He presents his apologies with the most sincere way possible, and he's doing it without hoping that she'll come back. He's just saying, I'm just saying to you, I know you might not come back, but just I want you to know it. He's not doing it with any intention. He's not doing it selfishly. He's doing it selflessly.
I have a lot to add to what you said. Now that I started remembering all the stuff I wanted to say, it's just really interesting how Don he says one line, I think he says another line, Oh, I'm not sure actually if it's done, but there's one line that's just so good, and I come back to the great writing and the great dialogue.
Yeah,
You change the world when you change your mind. Sure, like the first message that is really implied is accepting others for who they are, but then changing, not just accepting others, but changing how you think and changing the way you see things really changes the world around you.
yeah,
Like Michael Jackson said, you got to start with the man in the mirror. A little note that I put is like I thought it was really good how when the wife comes in to give like the last goodbye to Charlie, as in when they're going to break up, she's wearing all black.
yes, she is.
She's wearing all black, which always black signifies loss, death,
Yeah.
pain, and it
Also,
was
yeah,
when she came
yeah.
in, I thought she's gonna break up with him.
A very strong also moment in the show is when Lola sings to her father. I mean, sings in the home care. She sings "Hold Me in Your Heart,"
Oh yeah,
and that's actually also something very nice because this song is not about performing. It's not about accept. It's not about like acceptance. It's funny. This is the only song not about acceptance. It's just about think of me. That's it.
mm,
Think of me and hold me in your heart. I'm not asking that you ask that you like me because again, I'm gonna get the lyrics out. So hold me in your heart. It says you don't want to see me anymore. You can't listen to me laugh out loud. You don't want to see me dance. You can't even take the chance that I might reflect on you. It might reflect on you. So she's basically saying like I've got it. I've got it. You don't want me to do all this, but I'll still do it. You know. And then she says you're afraid that all of my actions will reflect on you, that it'll have an impact on you. And then she says you missed out on the best part of me, that part that made me who I am today. The best part of me is standing right in front of you and loves you anyway.
mm,
Very strong sentence. Hold me in your heart till you understand. Hold me in your heart just the way that I am. With all your faults, I love you. Don't give up on me. I won't on you. You took my hand. You taught me how to be strong. That's where I picked up when it all went wrong. I know that I hurt you, but you hurt me too. You know, but you mean more to me, and I must mean more to you. Hold me in your heart till you understand. Hold me in your heart just the way I am. With all your faults, I still love you. I need you to love me that way too. So she's again is about just keep keep this part of love from me. That's all I'm asking. And we've bone. It's okay to throw each other bones and picks at each other, but at the end of the day, we both mean something to the other one.
yes.
Very strong number. Very strong, strong.
By the end of the day, he's still his son, and he's still his father. They're still family by the end of the day. Yeah, I keep coming back to this, but it's just the introductions and the dialogue was so good. Like, I mean, they were really good for a play of this sort. This play was really upbeat, so you weren't. I wasn't really expecting much of a great dialogue, but I came out quite satisfied, especially when Lola and Charlie have this discussion when Charlie's freaking out about the Milan show and he wants this to be this way, and then Lola tries to comfort him, and she's like, "We need to get my girls to do the fashion show." And then Charlie gets really mad. He says a bunch of things, and he even says, "You want to be a man? Start acting like one." And it's crazy because it's just this reflection. He starts spewing out everything that society tells these people, which is just
Yes.
like you want to be a man, act like a man, or you're crazy. There's one part where Charlie says, between me and you, if we ask people who's the fool here, I think most of the fingers would be pointed at you. Like
Yes.
those really raw messages that somewhat actually do apply to our society nowadays without
Yeah.
discrimination. Not everyone in society is accepted for now,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that's just the way it is, and it's painful and it hurts, but it's the truth. And then Charlie saying that really reflects a reality, and
Yeah.
I thought that was like really good. And well, maybe sometimes I felt like there were a lot of story threads happening because you had Charlie and the shoe factory, Charlie and his wife, Charlie and Lauren, Lola and her girls,
And
Lola.
also
There
and
was like a
also
lot of
Chuck
stuff.
and
I think there was like a lot of stuff happening at the same time. What do you say? Like
Well, I
That's
agree with you. I think there's a lot of story that's told to us in a very little amount of time. It's not a very long show, but it's perfectly said. It's perfectly told to us.
mm. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say perfect. For example,
Well, I
I
mean,
said before, like
yeah,
Charlie and his girlfriend, that could have been maybe taken out,
yeah,
or
true, true. But like for them, I think that the it was a movie initially.
yeah,
This story was a movie, and I think for a movie that's been adapted to the stage, just like for Shrek, they've brought us more. They've given us more elements, and it is just overall a really, really strong message about acceptance. And I think that this musical is gonna have an impact on minds.
the best character arc goes to
Lola, Charlie, no, Don.
Don. Yes, yes, Don. I love it when he just comes out at the end wearing high heels.
Yeah,
I think maybe it wasn't fully developed, but I think it was like really interesting, anyways. How
I
he
agree.
goes from being this tough guy to sort of having a fight to slightly flipping his beliefs, starting to understand what Lola meant, forgiving Charlie for his errors, and then finally embracing something that maybe he thought he would never do. And that doesn't make
Very,
him any less manly.
very, very true. I agree with you. I think that this musical really, really maybe Don is a representation of the average audience member.
Mm. It was a good story element and a good character, and it really apported something to the story. That's what I like, when something adds on to the story. And I
Yeah.
think that's just with the whole show itself. It kind of wraps up like that, and
So, what are your grades?
so let's go to the grading now. Let me see. I always go back to see what like the points are. It's artistic, technical, plot, and music. Okay, artistical, I would give it a maybe I don't know, like a 6.5. 6.5, I'd say.
Okay.
Like in I don't know, like I thought it was fun and everything, but like artistically, it was like a movie taken, like a play taken from a movie, and I don't know, just a 6.5. I just feel that way.
Okay.
Technical, I'd give it a 6, or maybe 6.5. No, 6, just 6. It was good and really good use of stuff around like the stage, but there wasn't anything that was too crazy. There wasn't any like spinning or crazy platforms. It was mostly sets. It was mostly like props on stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then plot, I think the plot's pretty good. A 7. I think I gave it a 7. It's got some good story, characters, and some good dialogue. And then the music, honestly, I'm gonna give it a 4.5. I'm sorry,
Really?
yes,
Wow.
but there's a thing. I like how you're just like, what?
I'm impressed. I'm surprised. Okay.
The thing about the music is that I've come to realize, with the help of Kevin Lynch, that what I really like from musicals are um, motives and
Yeah,
themes.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But
And even
I
wait,
think
wait, let
yeah.
me finish. And even though this musical was very contemporary and it had very modern music, um, I just can't remember a song or melody from the show. I just watched it and I can't remember anything. I can't remember like a tune. The only tune I remember is "This Is Step One" because I listened to it a million times when I was younger. But I I can't come out of the show and say, "Oh, this melody marks the show." For example, if I say this, chun 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 chun
Yeah,
chun, what's that? That's Hamilton.
of course.
If I say, na 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 na, what's that? That's Legally Blonde.
Yeah.
But here you don't have that. You don't have that music grip. Maybe if I listen to it way more times, I'll start to get to know it. But just by one time watching it, I don't get that
Okay. Okay. Okay.
that thing.
Okay, good.
You go.
Right. Artistically, I'm gonna give it a 7 because I think that what they're doing is really ambitious. I mean, it's a hard show. It's a hard show to put on. The show is now you can have there's a license to it. and there's not people are not running and are not fighting to get the license of it, because it's not an easy show to put on. I mean, you need a shoe factory set, you need a lot of stuff, which brings me to the set. The set, I would also give it 7 out of 10. Um, for the plot, I will give it an 8 out of 10, because I think the plot is really strong. It's something new, it's something funny, and the book has been really well written by Harvey Firestein, and I think it is just entertaining overall. And this is what I've paid for when I go and watch this. I went to see it twice when I was in London, and I have to say I was blown away both times. It was my favorite musical in London for a long, long time.
That's
And
awesome.
it's just this warm feeling when you get out of the theater. And for the songs, oh, I'm gonna give it 7.5 out of 10,
Damn.
because for me, it's not about just themes and motives. Themes and motives is what will, for me, you have, for me, themes is what is the bonus,
Mhm.
is the rare thing in musical theaters to find themes and motives, is not what's normal, which means we will find more of the time things with no themes rather than things with themes. And so for me, a theme is what will make a 9 become a 10, you know?
Yeah.
But when I judge the music, I judge, will I listen to the music again? Yes. Did I enjoy every song in the show? Yes. Did I skip any song? Is there any songs on the album I will skip? Probably not. And is it songs that I will probably like enjoy hearing at auditions and out of the context, and that I can relate to the songs
Mhm.
out of the show? Yes. So for me, the music is quite a win here, and is and also the way they've used the orchestration with all of these electronic vibes, with when Lola is here with the toot, 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 toot. You know, when Lola is here in the sexes in the heel, which is also a very strong number. I think that the orchestration is brilliant, and that again they've assigned instruments to every character, um, and so I think that the music does its job in this show, which is bringing us emotions for plot stories.
That's awesome. I really like how we have such different views on the music, especially.
Yeah.
I really like that because for the first time we've actually had different like opinions on the music. Because mostly we just say, yeah, it was really good, or no, it sucked. But this
I
time
agree.
we have
But
like,
for me, well, we'll see if we'll do this musical. But for me, a musical that I know, for example, wow, a musical that deserves a 10 in music is gonna be something like Les Mis for me.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Les Mis, there is just it's perfection in terms of music.
Mhm.
I would say, yeah, I don't know if I would give 10 to Miss Saigon. I don't think so. Um, what other shows? I think that also I would give a big, big. No, I would give a 10 out of 10 to Hunchback of Notre Dame too.
Alan Menken.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's cool. It's cool that
Perfect.
we like put these opinions together. I love it, man. Because like as I said, first we've had Shrek, which had like similar scores. We say yeah, it's good, the music good. Then Wind in the Willows, music sucks. Not one song that's good. And then here we have like really different. I don't think the music's bad though. I just think like I you know. But yeah,
Perfect.
awesome,
Right.
bro.
Well, let's cut it here.
Let's cut it here. So thank you guys for watching or listening to us again. And should we cut it here
Whoever
again?
is.
So goodbye, everyone. And we still talk. We keep on talking for like a little bit, but
Yeah.
we cut the video here. All right.
Okay.
See you guys.